Okay, today we're ranking ways to learn Quranic Arabic and putting it into our tier list. We have Imam Adam and myself. We're going to be going through each one with our judgment criteria and telling you if it gets an Imam Adam gold star or Ya Rab, not again. So we're going to be going through these five judgment criterias. How much you're going to learn, what is the actual comprehension impact, how quickly is that going to happen, time to results. You're going to understand Quranic Arabic in a year's time or a week's time. How much it's going to cost, right? There's different levels of accessibility for all of us, and we understand that not everyone can afford the same education, how accessible it is, and most importantly for Quranic Arabic, that spiritual engagement. The spirituality aspect is really important because that's what motivates a lot of us to actually pursue Quranic Arabic to begin with. So without that spiritual engagement, you might become demotivated over a shorter period of time. So this is our options, and these are our ranks. I think let's just get started. So we'll go through each of these criteria for each of these. So we'll start off with the local madrasa and mosque. So how in deep is that? How comprehensive is that?
Yeah, Bismillah. So I think the local mosque class is great from a community perspective. And I don't know if that's one of our judging criteria actually, but
I guess the
it's great
spiritual side.
from building a relationship with people in your class. Like when I taught Arabic in my masjid, then what I noticed is that all the people in that class, they became, mashallah, lifelong friends. And so one of them, for example, now he's a khatib, right? And his classmates were inspired to go and study further because their classmate was like furthering his studies and he went so far beyond what we initially started with. And so it
Yeah.
builds relationships in your community, which is excellent, honestly, which is a great thing. And I'm a little biased because I'm an imam,
Yeah.
but I think it is great. The only challenge is that a lot of times the curriculum that is used um, is not like the best for a masjid class, if that makes sense. So a lot of times
Mm.
you'll find that, for example, and may Allah, reward everyone who puts effort in. But a lot of times the curriculum that's used is just the old curriculum from the Islamic university level, and so what that does is that essentially you're learning like a scholar learns. And the challenge
Mm.
with that is you only have 2 hours a week, whereas the scholar is learning 40 hours a week. So you're using something that's really not meant for you. So that's the only challenge with this, is what is the curriculum that you're using. So I did write my own curriculum for this purpose, that I was like, okay, I just want to write something for someone who only has 2 hours a week. So this will really depend on who's teaching it. Do they have expertise in teaching Arabic? Because just knowing Arabic isn't enough. And then number two, it's going to depend on what is the curriculum that they're using. Is it meant for your average Muslim coming to the masjid, or is it really meant for scholars to learn from?
Mm.
So which tier would I put it? Honestly, it's hard for me to say because we haven't done all of them yet. So I would put it between. Let's put it at B just for now, just because the baseline. We can move it later.
B. Okay. So I
I
guess
don't know
like
if
the
you
only
have
thing,
comments on this.
yeah, the only thing I'd say is that I love this, and when I had access to this, it was amazing,
Mm.
right? And there was like the brothers, and they had a Quran circle, and it was super engaging. But I don't have access to that all year round. That was like a unique opportunity. I was in London, I was at university, and that's where the brothers were. I don't have access to that, so I can't really comment on saying like, okay, it's great, and you have the spiritual side is really sweet and like really inspirational. So but how much that impacted my comprehension was a bit different because like it was 10% of the time me being able to read and like 90% of the time listening to others, but the spiritual engagement is very high, the cost is low.
So you mean like a Quran recitation class where you're reciting
Yeah,
Quran?
as in we didn't even I've never had access to something like a proper madrasa either. uh, had like a Arabic
You
school.
know, I mean, I actually, yeah. Let me talk about that. Actually, most masajid probably don't offer something
Yeah.
where you can understand Quranic Arabic. So most
Mm.
masajid will offer just recitation classes, and so from a comprehension perspective, it's zero because you don't discuss the comprehension of the Quran at
Yeah.
all. Sometimes if there's a sheikh that does the tafsir of the class, that can be tafsir of the Quran. That's good, but generally speaking, you're right that a lot of times it's just Quran recitation. So
Yeah.
if it's just Quran recitation, then it's it's not really on this
It's kind
list.
of it's
So
inshallah
access
maybe.
is really a challenge. So maybe we move it to C actually, because
I think
it's
so.
not it's simply not available in probably the majority. the vast majority, maybe 90% of masajid don't have a Arabic comprehension, Quranic comprehension class.
Yeah. I think
So
yeah,
I
I think
get it
these
for sure. Also, it even has windows, right? So like even in my masjid, which has it, because
yeah.
I wrote the curriculum myself and I've trained the teachers, um, and now the students of my students are teaching it now, mashallah. But the challenge obviously is it starts in September and it ends in June. So if you join
Mm,
at any point after September, you're going to be behind. You can't. So you have to wait till the next cycle. So accessibility is definitely a challenge. So let's put it under say inshallah.
okay. Okay, we'll put it there. We'll see what's next. Okay, so this is all the way out there. University Arabic degree. So like the commitment level immediately is like way up here. Yeah, let's get into that. So comprehension impact is, I would say, pretty good, but cost, accessibility, and yeah, the barrier there. Yeah, really the accessibility. Would you know people that have done this and successfully, like come from this?
So okay, so from a comprehension perspective, obviously you go to any Jamia Al Azhar, Medina, anywhere, you're going to have inshallah good comprehension. You're going to go from A to Z inshallah. um, a lot of times people say, well, what's the best university if I go? Obviously
Mm,
there's a lot of universities with more prestige, more credibility, but at the end of the day it's going to be down to your effort. If you put in the effort, because everywhere I went, whether I was in my European Islamic University in France or whether I was in Egypt going to Al Azhar Jamia and things like that, wherever I was, there was always people saying, "Well, if only I was here, then I
yeah.
would do it." You know, it's funny
Mm,
because as human beings, we say that all the time. It's like once I'm rich, then I will give sadaqah. Once I get
yeah.
married, then I will be a good Muslim. Once I have children, then I will do this. Right? We always put it like one step ahead of ourselves, and that's just the way we are, subhanallah. And Allah tells us, criticizes his behavior in the Quran. But anyway, so it doesn't matter where you go, at the end of the day it's going to be down to your own effort. How much extra reading do you do? How much time do you spend? Right? What time do you wake up? Are you making your salahs? Are you making your dhikr? Are you putting in the time to really focus on this? Right? Are you going to people? Are you asking questions? Are you shy to ask questions? Are you too arrogant to ask questions? Right? Then you won't learn. So that's going
Mm,
to go, like, if you're shy to speak in Arabic, then you're not going to learn. you know
yeah.
so so comprehension impact will be great if you put in the effort, of course. Time to
Mm,
results, you have to take the time. So at minimum, most people spend one, if not, most people actually will spend 2 years getting their Arabic down in any Islamic university. It'll take
mm,
2 years before you even start your Islamic law or your Sharia, right? Even if you go to, like, for example, now we have, for example, Qalam Institute in Dallas, that has a 5 year program, and they do Arabic in 1 year. But the second year really is still Arabic. Like, you're still, it takes time. Like, even if someone says, oh, they'll do it in a year, which is a great achievement, it'll take you 2 years, just because
mm.
that's really what it takes to get it down to the level where you can continue your studies.
And that's like
And
full
can you
time,
do
right?
1 year? Sorry?
And this is like a full time as well. Like it's two
And
years,
it's
not
full
just
time.
like 5 minutes. Full time, Monday to Friday. You're doing this for 2 years.
100%, it's full time, exactly. There's no part
Mm,
time option here, really, if you're going to a proper Islamic university. Now, three is cost, and the cost is immense because
mm,
it's a sacrifice. It's, if you spend 6 years, that's 6 years of income that you could have made, or gotten a degree that has potentially more potential from a career perspective, right? So the cost is pretty immense, I would say. Even if you go to like Al Azhar University, where the tuition is free, but you've
yeah,
given up so much to be in that role, in that position, right?
yeah,
And so the cost is immense, not only from the time perspective, but from the expenses perspective. Because even, for example, Al Azhar, let's say you get in and it's free tuition, you still have to worry about your room and board. Where are you going to live? Where are you going to eat? All of those things you have to think about. So cost is definitely, a lot of them, alhamdulillah, they are subsidized. Like my Islamic university in France, like, alhamdulillah, we got room and board included, and the
oh wow,
tuition honestly was a fraction of what you would pay, for example, in America or in the UK. It was a
mm,
fraction, and for that, I think at the time we spent 3,000 euros, and it was for the whole year. It was the
okay, oh
tuition, it
wow,
was the food. I mean, it's heavily subsidized because they do fundraising, they have donors, and so on. who want to support students of the Deen. But at the end of the day, you are spending how many every years, right? So there's significant costs. Accessibility, very low accessibility. Most people can't do this. Maybe 0.1%. It's less than 1%. Maybe it's 0.5% of people that actually can do this, if not even less than that. Like
Yeah.
out of my masjid of 1,500, how many people have gone that come to Jumu'ah? How many people have actually gone to um, a study abroad? Maybe it is 10. So yeah,
Okay.
so like less than 0.1%, right?
Kind of higher than I thought it
Or
was going to be.
1%. Yeah, less than
Oh, 10
1%.
people. Oh, sorry. I thought you said 10%, 0.1%.
Yeah, no. Probably 10 people, and
Okay.
and and nine of them, we the masjid sponsored them to go, which no masjid does, right?
Yeah,
So if we did not sponsor anyone, it would be one person,
that's crazy. Okay. That's okay. Okay. I was gonna say I don't know anybody that's done it. So that's like if I've got my sample size is not big enough for one.
Yeah,
Anyway, yeah.
exactly.
Next call.
And then finally, spiritual engagement. Alhamdulillah, you're with the scholars. You learn from their akhlaq. You learn from their time in class. If you go to the really big ones, sometimes there's that disconnect because the class sizes are huge, right?
Mm,
But otherwise, you're just 24/7 in this. And as long as you um, um, are in a place where you can get that spirituality, like someone can become so focused on the fiqh and the aqidah and the rules and the technicalities that it becomes bereft of all spirituality. But you
mm.
always have those teachers who you can associate with that can really bring it for you and can, mashallah, maintain your spirituality. So from a spiritual thing, it's a great option.
Okay.
All right, so where we're going to put this? I think this also
Well,
goes under C, honestly, because for most people, it's say inshallah.
say inshallah. Yeah, it's definitely a lot of legwork. None of these are going to be like if you're committed to learning Quranic Arabic, there's going to be legwork. But some of these I think really just have different levels of accessibility that a lot of people I don't think are going to be able to do, at least in their current situations, without making a lot of big life changes. So I think that's a
Exactly.
good position. Say inshallah. It's
So it's
definitely a good
so
option.
so this one is like say inshallah because of the cost and the accessibility, and the masjid class is also inshallah just because again it's not available.
Yeah,
Most masajid don't have this.
yeah, and definitely. Okay, so short intensives. These might be in person. It might be online. So it's definitely like it might be something like a few days, or might be something like a month. And I've seen a few of these. We have sprints. We have these things where we have a target for where we want to be within a particular period of time, and you really commit to it. You might be spending a couple hours a day, 1 hour a day, or maybe even more. It might be a whole weekend where you're just pumping it out. So it's definitely a different kind of style of learning. Where do we put this? Let me bring it back to our. I think overall it's one of those things where like if you're like I'm a complete beginner, I don't know where to start, I don't know what to do. This might be a good starting point. Maybe not like a be all and end all of your Quranic Arabic journey, but it might be something to say like I can lock down a good amount of knowledge in a short period of time, and that way the next step I've got a bit more momentum. I think it has its time and place. I think it's one of those things where it's not like a one size fits all, and I think that's where its value is. So in terms of maybe you could speak more to comprehension, but it might be a lot more accessible, right? I might be having a full-time job, but like doing this for a weekend or doing this for 1 hour a day for a month, I can commit to that. Even if I'm super busy, it's like, okay, I'm going to do this for Ramadan. I'm going to do this before Ramadan so I can be ready for it. There's a lot more opportunity to do it. So the accessibility factor is a lot better. The cost factor is a lot better because it's such a shorter amount of time. And the time to results, like, if you this commitments, a lot of these intensive, you can get at least results that will motivate you. Maybe not all of it, but results that will motivate you to go to the next step and just have something under your belt that you can proceed with.
I think you're right, 100%. I think the thing about short intensives is the cost is lower, of course, compared to the other options we've discussed. But compared to, for example, the masjid class, the accessibility is more because these
Mm,
short intensives sometimes they're traveling, from masjid to masjid or from community to community. If it's in person, if it's online, then it's more accessible. Um, I've not really heard of an intensive online. Well, I guess we kind of do one over a two
yeah.
week period. We have the sprint that we do, I think twice a year in the summer and then in the winter right before Ramadan.
Mm,
And so in those sprints we kind of see, okay, can you complete a whole level and get that introduction that normally would take you maybe 6 weeks or 8 weeks, a few hours a week. can you do more time every day and do it over 2 weeks? You know,
Mm.
if it's in person, I've done in my community, I've done like 2 weekends where I help people to do this
Okay.
over 2 weekends. Um, and what I've noticed is that people will attend because, you know, for them having that discipline of coming on a weekly basis is difficult because life happens, right? So the accessibility is much higher, I think, inshallah. The cost is lower, obviously, compared to a full degree or anything more than that. The
Mm.
time to results is also effective because it's just focused on what is the best result you can get in the shortest amount of time. Again, this will depend on, is the person who's teaching it really thinking about what is the best thing for the audience? Are they just, like I said, taking a scholarly curriculum like al ajrumiya,
Mm.
which is meant for like scholars or Arabic speakers, and they're just kind of teaching it because that's what how they learned it? Or is it something where they've developed it to where people can actually, you know, it's actually accessible to the people? So it'll depend on that. um, um, and then obviously the comprehension impact is not as high as putting in the same amount of time over a period of time, because you will get less because you're kind of, it's like you're you're trying to get as much as you can in a short amount of time, and you're cramming. It's
Mm.
like cramming for an exam, right? Like
Yeah.
you cram for it and then you kind of forget a lot of stuff. But I think what it does is it really motivates people. Like I've seen people who come out of that, they're like, you know what, I can do this, this is for me.
Mm.
um, before this intensive and making it accessible, people thought they would never do it, you know. So it brings access. Spiritual perspective, I would say this will be down to the teacher. How do they teach it? You know, is it very Arabic focused or is it Quran focused? If it's Quran focused, then it can be incredible spiritually, because for the first time you are understanding the Quran. For the first time you're opening the Quran and you're seeing the words not just as recitation or tajweed or gunna and what are the letters, but for the first time ever you're saying, what is the meaning of this word, right?
Mm.
And so if you're focused on that from a curriculum and teacher perspective, like the spiritual can be very high on a personal level for the period, but again, it's a short term period. So it could be like, you know, fleeting in a way, because it's like a boost. And then what do you do afterward? So it's a short term boost for sure.
Okay. Sounds
So
good.
it has
Okay.
potential, I would say. I know I've
Yeah.
kind of said that for everything.
I think it's
Um,
like a lot of these. I feel like it is what you make it out to be. In a lot of ways, you have to put yourself like, you can do it and then never do anything about that afterwards, or you can ride that high and carry on with the rest of it. So I think, yeah, I think this is a really good option for a lot of people that, again, I think we're getting more accessible than these two. So I'm tempted to put it higher.
Yeah.
Um,
I'm also with B. I'm gonna say, you know, if you found a really good one, it could be A, but because even that is hard to find, I would put it under B. Because, for example, even our intensive, even though
mm,
we focus on the curriculum, we make it Quran, we make it all of this. At the end of the day, you're gonna need sabr, because you're gonna need to really have that patience to go through with it. You know,
yeah.
our sprint is over 2 weeks. You have to study 1 hour a day. Um, and so what that does is essentially it forces you to study every single day. So do you have the sabr to do it, right?
Mm.
Do you have the patience to really go through with it? So it's accessible, it's available, inshallah, but do you have the sabr to actually go through with it? So let's put it under B. I think you're right.
Extra sabr needed.
Yeah,
That's the
it's a
ranking
good
for sure.
category. Good one.
Extra sabr. Okay. Nothing's got a gold star yet, so I'm kind of like I'm worried at how low these. I think we're getting better as we go along. We'll
I
get
think I'm
there.
just established. We can move things around later if it comes
We
clear.
can, we can, but I think these are like quite heavy items so far. So like I think the
Yeah.
accessibility has been a big issue so far. Okay, so self-study textbooks. I think this is one of those things where people say I'm a visual learner. I prefer to, or I'm like a person that likes to sit down with a textbook. It might be personal as well. I know a lot of people when they do language learning, they really swear by like no, get the book. They're like get the book. You need to have the book. Sit down with the book. Take your time. Comprehend it yourself. But there's a few things we miss with that as well, which we didn't discuss. Right? If you're pronouncing things, you're trying to get the tajweed, you're trying to get that those elements out of that, you can't get that from the book. You are stuck on your own a little bit. So
Mm.
I think it does have limitations in terms of your actual comprehension as well. You got the writing side and the reading side. you might miss some of that spoken side of the language. So yeah, I guess that kicks it off with the comprehension impact.
Yeah. So I think, from, I mean, just from a cost perspective, a textbook is low cost, inshallah. From an accessibility perspective, you just go online and you purchase it. It's accessible, inshallah. Um, the time to result, or let's do spiritual engagement for a textbook, is going to be, you know are you a spiritual person yourself?
Mm,
Can a textbook really help you spiritually? It's not a person. There's no kind of connection there. There's no boost from anywhere. It has to come from within. Like, are you a spiritual person who appreciates, you read a verse of Quran and you appreciate it yourself, or do you
mm,
need someone to kind of tell you, what the impact is, or explain it to you? So this really depends. Time to results and comprehension impact. The time to result will depend so much on your own aptitude a lot of times. So how fluent are you in Quran already? Like, can you read Quran pretty fluently already? That's for everything, but especially for this, because it could very well be that you read something wrong, and you have no one
mm.
to ask. So it could very well be that you read something wrong, or maybe you go to the local masjid and you're like, hey, can you explain this to me? And you just ask questions where you get stuck. um, but otherwise you're just self-studying. I think if you're a high aptitude person who can, like, understand things, a lot of times people, like, overestimate their own aptitude, because once they pick up the book, they start, they're like, oh shoot, this is difficult
Yeah,
to do by myself, right?
yeah.
um, so from a comprehension perspective, obviously a textbook's going to have, inshallah, everything you need to know if it's but the only issue is going to be your own ability to stick with it. um,
Mm,
that's going to be the primary thing. And then also, I would say it's even more difficult than, for example, the short-term intensive, because there's very few people that can pick it up and kind of complete a textbook.
mm,
um, I did do that while I was doing my studies. Then I got a separate curriculum so I was doing more kind of Islamic oriented Arabic studies. And then I picked up a secular textbook that had more kind of secular items in it, so that you could read journal articles and things like that. Um, and I went through the exercises myself. So it was a supplement to the curriculum that my teachers had set, right?
mm,
And if I had a question, I couldn't really go to them because it was like academic English and my teachers were speaking Arabic, so it wasn't really something I could ask. Some of my peers who kind of had studied it, I could ask them a little bit and discuss it with them. So it really depends on, are you a resourceful person? Are you? It's like a lot of self effort, to summarize.
mm. Okay, I want to add to this a bit as well, and this kind of falls between self-study textbooks and the degree thing. I know there are a lot of short courses that will just follow a textbook like this, and this kind of goes into the whole MSA and Quranic Arabic conversation. But I know personally people that have had kind of more negative experience with this because the teacher will be kind of coming from a very secular perspective, and they're studying a secular textbook. They're going through a secular Arabic textbook, and it's
Yeah,
MSA Arabic. Their main motivation was like, I wanted to do this to learn the Quran,
yeah,
and like the people I'm like being surrounded with are not necessarily having that same goal. The teacher doesn't really like is not
yeah.
like really aligning with that goal of mine, and they just got a lot more demotivated, and I think they ended up stopping doing that Arabic course because they just didn't find it was working with what they wanted to do with the Quran.
No, 100%. And there's three types of textbooks. Number one is the books that are for reading, like for
Mm,
reading comprehension, which is probably the majority. Number two is the books that are for speaking, so they have like dialogues, like Al Arabiyyatu Benedek, which is also very popular if you go to
mm,
Egypt, and that's more for speaking Arabic. And then number three is the Quranic Arabic textbooks, which have to do with understanding Quran, which I think for our purpose is the books that I was talking about. Although I gave the example of me self-studying a book that wasn't that was more for reading comprehension of kind
mm,
of outside of Islamic texts. But that was again because I was already in Islamic university. I wrote a textbook, but it's actually a workbook. So it's meant to be used with the course, with someone, myself, running through it with you, right? So I've written that textbook, but it can't be used by itself. It can't be self studied. But the way I've developed the course is that if you are, um, for example, a high aptitude person, uh, each lesson is broken down in such a way where if there's parts you already understand, you can just skip it, right? If there's
Mm.
parts that you are already really comfortable with, you can just skip it. If you're a completionist, you have to do everything 100%. Of course, take your time. But I've had people come and do the whole course in a matter of weeks because what would normally take months, but they're just like I had physicians, professors, who just they're able to get through it because they have experience with languages, they have high aptitude, mashallah. They're used to studying. They've been in an academic setting for a long time, and so they go through it. Now I think this categorization is just textbooks by themselves.
Yeah.
So I'm a little I think it's between B and C.
Okay.
It's B because obviously you need a lot of sabr to do it, and the vast majority simply cannot do it because of how resourceful you have to be. Um, and then but then at the same time it's C because you know it's there for everyone.
Yeah.
It's there
Yeah.
and no one does it. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, that's true. That's true. I'm more tempted to go see here because it's like, look at the other stuff. It's commitment. There's no guidance. I think for a lot of people, like, let's think beginners, right? Like myself,
Yeah.
this is going to be a big commitment to get into. And I won't lie to you. I have one of these books. It's sitting on my shelf. It stays on my shelf. I don't pick it up. I will pick up a lot of these other items, and I would honestly say, yeah, I'll do a short intensive. I'll learn on one of these other platforms for a bit, but I won't pick up that book because
100%. I
it's
get you.
a bit
All
much
right,
of
so we'll put C then.
we'll put C. And I just want to take a little bit of a pause here to say to our audience that we are going to be providing resources down in the description of all of these options. If you're interested in taking one of these, we'll provide some of the things that we've mentioned, just with links. It'll be a resource, a PDF with just each of these, so you can pursue whichever route you'd like down in the comments and description. So be sure to look out for that, and hopefully that's useful for you guys.
Yeah, and
So
I'm glad you mentioned that, like, because even the mosque class, alhamdulillah, we have a teacher training. So if you
yeah,
are an Arabic teacher, or you know someone who can teach but they don't have a curriculum, or you know someone who's teaching but they're using maybe a scholarly curriculum but not a average person, average Joe
mm,
Schmo, right, as we say, in the masjid kind of person curriculum, then we have that teacher training available with the curriculum that's focused on Quran, that's focused on 2-3 hours a week. Um,
yeah,
so
you can move the
that's
C into a
that's an
B.
offer.
If we get more we get more madrasas in, then it'll be more accessible. Then we can
Yeah,
put more
honestly, if you
quality.
if you if you go through our teacher training, it goes from a C to an A, mashallah, pretty good. I would say for
Okay,
our community, like in my community, alhamdulillah, every year about 50 people complete the program, and for them it's a S or an A, the mosque class.
okay.
But
Oh wow.
it's not accessible to everyone. Only people who live locally, who come to the masjid. Some people come from far for the class, you know, but it just because of the access for the vast majority, I would put under say inshallah. But if it works well, you could put an A or S or an A. Honestly,
Okay. I might send I have some in a couple of weeks time. I might send some teachers your way.
yeah, let's do it.
Set that up,
It's a
inshallah.
free. By the way, it's a free training. Alhamdulillah, for teachers, it's a free training, and we'll even sponsor your first set of books. Like, we really want people to just use it and to learn it. Inshallah.
Amazing. Okay. So I feel like we should do this the other way around, but let's just do it in the order it is actually. So Quranic Arabic learning app. So this is apps that are specifically focused
That's
on learning
us,
the Quran.
mashallah.
That is us. That is us. I wasn't sure if we should maybe leave this out. Maybe just Quranic. I don't know. I
No,
don't know any. I don't know about
we're
any
biased.
other. But no, that is what we do. That is what we've been trying to achieve for many years now. Because I guess the biggest thing we achieve with that is the accessibility and the cost. Right? We have people in some isolated village here, or some completely like they don't know a single other Muslim in the world, but they have the app and they can understand the Quran and they've just converted. And these are like such inspiring stories. And I guess that's where we're at, is we're trying to hit a lot on that accessibility point of view. You can be on the train, on the bus, anywhere in the world, and it's easy to get to. So I guess yeah, let's run through this. We'll try to be as fair as we can and judge this a
We're
lot
not
more.
gonna be fair. Anything we
We'll
say
try
is
to
not.
be as fair as we can. We'll try to be as
We're
fair as we
gonna be
can.
biased. No, we're gonna be fairly biased, inshallah.
Yeah.
But like, alhamdulillah, I'm so happy for this opportunity. We started this in 2017, this app to learn Quranic Arabic. and people wanted it. People, alhamdulillah, we did a crowdfunding campaign on Launch Good, and it was the most funded app by, I think, 3 or 4x.
Mm.
It was subhanallah, it was crazy. We had no idea this was going to happen. We set our goal, bare minimum goal that we got from some sweatshop in India that gave us, nothing wrong with India, but it was like a
Yeah.
sweatshop style place, where
Yeah.
it was like, minimum cost, let's just get something out. But then people really invested in this project so much that we were able to level it up, and we said, no, we want kind of the best of the best. We want to use a native application built for phone, built for mobile, right? And in those days, mobile first, right? And
Yeah.
alhamdulillah, it's been a great, incredible journey. um, and what inspired it was honestly these criteria you're saying here, Laith. Like, all of these were inspirations for this project, for
Yeah.
Quranic Arabic, for Quranic in particular, the app that we do. There's other apps as well.
Mm.
Um, and I can just speak from our focus.
Yeah.
And I'll say, from a cost perspective, alhamdulillah, it's free. And the vast majority of people who use the app use it for free. And many
Yeah.
people have come to me over, like, mentors and, other people that are doing similar projects, in the digital space. They're like, why are you making it free? You should make it free only for a limited time. But alhamdulillah, you can use the whole of our app for free. And the vast majority, over 95% of people, use it for free.
Mm.
But the people who commit, they get more out of it. They get more out of it just because they're more committed people, and and we try to make it very, like, we haven't even raised the price. Even with all the inflation and everything, the price has been the same for the past 7-8 years now.
Mm.
From an accessibility perspective, it's on your phone. From the comprehension impact, we tried to focus on the things that are we tried to focus on um, the the top words. So, not just tried to focus on, we made that our focus. Is we 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 put the top most common words in the Quran first. So you learn those first, the most common words, and then each lesson gives you the most common after that, the most common after that, the most common after that. So for a short amount of time, in a short amount of time, you're able to make a lot of progress. Um, and the other thing we did is we mashed it with stories of the Quran. So you get some
Mm.
spirituality. It's not just Arabic learning, it's connected to stories from the Quran. It's connected to something interesting. It's connected to what's going to happen next in the story. It's connected to, um, what is going to help make this stick with you and not just be kind of a fleeting thing where you learned a word today and you forgot it tomorrow.
Mm.
So, in addition to the lessons that teach you the Quranic Arabic, around that we placed the stories of the Quran. We had quizzes that remember what words you get wrong, what words you get right. So it shows you the words you get wrong more, so that you can practice them more. We put Quran in there so that every word you learn is highlighted in the Quran with its meaning. We
Mm.
put a leaderboard so that you can keep track with your family, with your friends, with your classmates. Um, Basically, everything around it to really help with comprehension, with getting you results as fast as possible in the shortest amount of time, because we know that you don't have time. We know
Mm.
that you're busy. We know that you have many things going on. And there's a lot of distractions as well. The main thing is, honestly, there's a lot of distractions. So, how do we make this fun and engaging and
Mm.
even entertaining, inshallah? Gamified, right? How do we use math to really make sure that you're making the most of every minute that you spend? These were all things that went into this. So honestly, I would put this at S tier. I'm biased. But I'll say, for the average person who's just trying to learn, like, that's honestly, genuinely, sincerely what we're hoping to do. And that's why we've made the
Mm.
cost so low. That's why the vast majority use this app for free. Those who want to commit and want to support us, they can subscribe.
Yeah. I
Um,
think that's
and
like we had that
go ahead.
brother which like with the time to result and the amount you can comprehend in what time. We had like some people which will do like 5 minutes a day. You could just do one lesson a day and you do that for like over a year and however long it takes to get through the lessons. Or we had that one brother which like he found out about it on his Umrah trip and he like I never knew someone could speed run the app. They did like all the lessons in like 3-4 days. And they're like, I finished it. I just found out about it this week and I finished it. I was like, wait, what do you mean you finished
Yeah,
it? I was
we
like, I
had to
did it already.
double confirm that. It was a popular
I was
brother,
confused.
mashallah, who has like a very famous YouTube channel, everything, and he
Yeah,
did the whole thing, and he's like, "This is the best thing ever," and I'm so happy to use it. And we were like, "Whoa, you did the whole thing,"
I
and he
was
was
um,
at Umrah just doing this
very.
app.
So I don't know. Did he find out about it on? Like, I know we're gonna get off topic, but like, was it at Umrah he found out, and then after he found out, while like he was on Umrah, then he
Yeah, I mean,
like
people share it.
some
We don't really do
yeah
ads, so people see it. You type in Quranic Arabic, alhamdulillah, we're the number one result on the app stores. So you find it, you download it, and you just do the whole thing at your Umrah trip.
yeah.
That's amazing.
I guess that's the other thing is it doesn't like because it has like because we teach with the Quran, it doesn't feel out of place in those spiritual environments, right? You can do it. It doesn't feel out of place doing it after Fajr on your Salat mat. It doesn't feel wrong that you're getting a bit of education out of that as well, and like you're still getting your goals of getting closer to the Quran. It doesn't feel out of place.
Yeah,
In a lot of ways,
it doesn't feel like
so
I'm
I don't
doing
know.
Arabic. Okay, let me
Yeah,
do Arabic. It's different. No, this is Quran.
yeah. So it's that I think that's quite nice, and that it can fit into those environments, fit into your salat, fit into your umrah if you want to speed run it on during your umrah. So this is the difficult decision, as in it says Imam Adam's gold star. It says Imam Adam's gold star. So I don't know. I feel like I can't give the gold star. The gold star can only come from you. So if it's S, I think we gotta. It doesn't look. I think we gotta put
I,
S.
be- I believe in what I do. If I
Yeah,
was to put anything less than that, it would be an insult to myself that I believe, because I believe in what
fair
I'm
enough.
doing, and I'm doing it from a conviction that this is um, the most accessible way. Like, are you going to get more out of your degree that you do in Islamic university? Yes, but how many people can actually do that, right?
Yeah, I think that that
You know,
accessibility element is what makes
that's the
this
that's the main
the
thing.
big That's what I think to the audience that might think we're being. I think it's the calculation is the number of people that can benefit from it and the
Yeah.
amount of benefit. And when you multiply those together, you get a bigger factor. So that's kind of I think I
Like,
just
I would say, I went to, mashallah, I went to Islamic university. I did it, and I was like,
yeah
I wish everyone could do this. I
yeah
literally said to myself, I wish everyone could do this. And then from there, I made a YouTube channel called iArabic. It's still available. It's not been updated in hundreds of years, but and then I was like, I want to do this more seriously. So I joined Bayna Institute with Ustaz Norman Ali Khan, right?
yeah
And it was a little more accessible because it was a 1 year program, right? And it was in America. So I was coming from a perspective of American Muslims, so people could come to it. And in those days, we had no options in America, and that was more accessible. But still, I felt like I want to bring this to even more people. And with Bayna, we had the part-time program, which brought the access to even more people. But
yeah
I said, but still, it's not accessible. Like the people that I'm working with, for example, the marketing team and the camera team and this team and that team, they can't access these classes still.
no
You
that's
know,
true yeah
they're not able to spend this time. And so I said, what is the method by which everyone can appreciate it? And alhamdulillah, every single person on our team
that's
has
good
used our app. Like every single person on our team, 100% have used the app. That's how we hired them, because we
yeah
we
that's
just
what I was
went to our
mentioning yeah
users and we said,
came the other
who
way
would like to, who can do this or who can do that. And so we saw the vast spectrum of people, that engineers are using the app, and video editors are using the app, and project managers are using the app, and Lathe, whatever it is, that you do a little bit of everything.
yeah
Lathe is using the app. Like, I think that was the miracle thing, that literally 100% of people in the company have used the app.
yeah
Alhamdulillah. So
it's
I
nice
think from that perspective, 100%. All right, we're not going to toot
okay
our horn too much more. Let's
yes
move
yeah,
on.
yeah. Okay, so this is an unrelated bird. We don't know where this bird is from. It's just a generic picture. We don't know what this
Fair
business is.
use, fair use policy.
Fair use policy, right? Duolingo, you want to come at us, please? We'll take the heat. Um, not that we know what this is. So I guess just to run through an overview of this. Okay, I have an anecdote here. I know someone that has used this app, has a 800 and I think 40-day streak, something like over 800 days on this. right? That's a long time on Arabic, in Arabic, MSA Arabic, and it's anecdotal evidence, but it's an evidence of an anecdote. I know, but they have told me that they didn't really feel that they got the comprehension side. Now I understand that when you're learning Arabic, you sometimes need a little bit of immersion. You need the speaking with someone. You need to take it outside of a closed environment and actually apply it as well, and that's really important. And that's, I think, sometimes we come in a bit, because we have that Quran element. When you read the Quran, you just take it straight to, like, we literally just have a Quran tab and you can just apply it immediately.
You apply
I think
immediately, yeah.
um, so that's from the comprehension side. I know it's an anecdote and it's only evidence of an anecdote, but I think that's one challenge we have. And I guess the other major challenge I see with this is just the spiritual side. Like, I think it's similar to that other issue, like the other story I mentioned, where there was a brother that was doing an MSA course, but his interests were that he wanted to do it for the sake of learning the Quran. So, in the MSA course, you're learning how to, like, order at a cafe, but that has
MSA
nothing
is
to do.
modern standard Arabic, just to
Yes, yeah,
define, because people
yeah,
don't know.
no,
That's like the Arabic that's used in the news, Al Jazeera. You watch it in Arabic, they're using MSA.
yeah,
If you read a newspaper or an article or an academic paper that's not from an Islamic perspective, it's going to be in MSA, and it's used all over the Arab world, Middle East, Morocco, everywhere they use MSA.
yeah. Gotcha. Thank you for the clarification. Yeah, I think we got used to using it. Um, so where was I? So, like, it's so you might be learning a lot more on how to order a coffee in an Arabic country, or how to ask a taxi driver where to go, but not so much what you'd find in the Quran. So I think
Yeah.
that's, again, it does depend on what your, like, interests are. Maybe you want to learn the Quran, but you also want to get ready for travel to Muslim countries, to Arabic countries, and
Mm.
then maybe that's something you do want to invest in as well. So, like, it does depend on your interests and your priorities with that. So
It's even not the best for traveling because it's Fusha or MSA. It's called Fusha. And the problem with it is no one speaks MSA in person, in public. So you go to Egypt, you speak MSA, people look at you funny, like you're speaking very formally,
mm,
because people, they don't, in Egypt, they speak Egyptian Arabic, Amiya. In Morocco, they speak Moroccan Arabic or Darija. And the Egyptians don't understand the Moroccans, right? Um, so that's one of the challenges, is what are you really using it for. One of the first sentences you will learn in some of these apps is the bear got beer from the fridge, so you
yeah,
learn the word beer, you learn a bear. Like, what does this have to do with anything that you want to do in life, right? It's a
yeah,
bit silly, it's funny, I guess, but how does this help your comprehension? For sure, cost is low, accessibility is high. Time to results for Quran, again, if our focus is Quran, time to results is questionable, comprehension is
mm,
questionable. Maybe you're making yourself more fluent and you're getting a different perspective, and that's great. But for Quran specifically, it's just not direct enough, it's just not focused enough. You don't have a lot of time, so focus on the things that will be the best use of your time. Spiritual
mm,
engagement, unless you're that very personally spiritual person, who can find spirituality in anything. Even that will be difficult if you're learning sentences like the bear got beer from the fridge.
yeah.
Like, how does this in any way help you? So
I
just
think
something.
that's
Is there overlap? Of course, there's overlap. You'll learn words like son and daughter and father, and you'll learn things that there's overlap in entering, exiting, but it's just not so focused. Um,
mm. I think it does have those pros in terms of accessibility and cost, but, I think I really see your point of, if your priority is Quranic Arabic and understanding the Quran. That's the issue that I had with that person I knew, which did it for 800 days, and they're like, oh, I don't understand any more of the Quran than I did 800 days ago, and that's a lot of time. That's a lot. And, like, to say I'm gonna do this every single day for 800 days is a huge commitment. So this is interesting. I'm not sure where to put this, as in it has those pros of, but I
I
think
think
that
it's
if it
D.
was
This is
questionable,
really bad, but I think it's D.
damn. I think I do see your point there. I think, like, if the outcome is Quranic Arabic, and the outcome is questionable, right? Like, are you actually going to learn the things you need?
Yeah,
And I have evidence that it's kind of like it's not even hitting where you're trying to go. So
yeah.
I think we might have to put Duolingo. I mean, sorry, general MSA language apps. not calling out in Yarab, not again.
You can bleep that out later. The brand name.
I think they give a lot of heat. I think we gotta gotta give them
I
back.
mean, look, it doesn't because sabr doesn't matter. It doesn't matter how much sabr you have. You can't pull, you can't pull
Someone
blood
that
from
doesn't
bone or
exist.
whatever the saying is, right? What is the saying?
Or
How does
even
it
with
go?
yeah, you can't. You, what is it like? You can't get water from a rock or something.
You can't get water from a rock. Exactly. So it doesn't matter how many times you say inshallah I'll learn or sabr you
Yeah,
have.
it's not there.
It's not gonna get you the outcome that you're looking for.
Okay, okay, we got okay four more.
We gotta
We'll
move
try.
faster.
Yeah, we want to move faster. Okay, so YouTube playlists and channels. Did I understand correctly that you had a channel that did like so you taught Arabic on a YouTube channel?
Yeah, yeah, alhamdulillah. We were like the
Okay,
first ones basically to do it. um, but I couldn't follow up. I was in an unsettled time of my life. I was like 20 years old. I was trying to find a job, trying to do this, get married. So I made about 10 videos and then moved along.
okay,
um,
okay,
but they were good. They were good videos, alhamdulillah. They were well done. I used some impressive technology for that time. It was in like 2010 or something. That was a long time ago.
we're getting secret Imam Adam history here.
Yeah,
We'll
there
have
you
to
go.
see
Yeah, you can still find it. It's there. You can actually
the
find it. It's
long-term
like
fans
it's
will
like
have to start.
welcome to my first Arabic video. It's cute if you watch it. Yeah. Um,
Maybe one of the fans will take a make a way to leave the page
there
for you at some point. We'll have a
you
different
go.
period. Okay, so I guess from your perspective, comprehension on that, like, what did you think that how well did you
So
think
I
that?
think I mean just for the sake of time for the video, I know we spent a lot of time on the first few, and then I realized
Yeah,
that we're kind of running out of time.
yeah,
But just I think the short of it is that the YouTube can be great, but a lot of times the way it's used is like a one-off. So it's like you watch one video and it doesn't really have a connection to the next video because the way like if you're uploading to YouTube, it's hard to do series because you can do series and people do series, but the
yeah,
challenge is number one is the quality of it, right? Number two is um, the how each one leads to the next, right? A lot of times each video has to be standalone because anyone should be able to log in and watch any video of yours from the algorithm and benefit. So
mm,
you can't really assume too much past knowledge unless you're doing a series and then you kill your audience if you require previous videos, that's just not the way YouTube is set up.
yeah.
um,
Okay,
so I think that's the main thing is the organization of it. And everyone tells themselves, oh, I'll just learn on YouTube, but then they don't actually make a lot of progress because they're not committed to any one thing. They're watching videos from everywhere, they're getting
yeah.
distracted, right?
It's like, is it entertainment? Is it education? Are you just kind of making yourself feel good? That happens a lot on YouTube. I feel like people feel good that
Yeah,
they kind of. I've watched a 40-minute YouTube video. I just watched it. I was sitting on the couch. I wasn't writing things down, and it kind of falls into the category of entertainment
yeah.
or kind of
Yeah,
like
YouTube is great for like short things. Like I have a specific problem, and I look it up, right? Like I need to fix my plumbing and the specific issue. I look it up and I watch a 2-minute video and I try to do it myself and mess it up or get it right or whatever, right? Like I feel like that's like the best use of it,
yeah,
right? You have a specific question about a specific concept of Arabic and you look it up on YouTube and you find the answer that you need, or you find
nice,
a good example, or you're reading a book and you find a reading of that book with someone, on YouTube. I think for those specific questions, queries, it's great. For one-off like engagement as a supplement to your learning, like you're learning a course, but then you like to watch extra videos on extra things you don't know. I think it's great from that perspective. So for this, I would say extra sabr needed. I think.
extra sub needed. Yeah, cost is zero. Time to results, kind of not very clear. Accessibility is great. Spiritual engagement, I
Yeah.
would put at zero personally because you're going to be watching something about Arabic,
I think that
trying to
it's the
look in,
distractions, right?
telling
Like
you
even you're
these
watching,
steps
you
you need
see
to follow.
ads,
Yeah,
like you see
these steps
ads,
follow.
you see all kinds of things, right? And you start buying stuff, you get distracted, So yeah, I think it's B probably. Like
Extra
it's
sub
really
needed.
accessible. So for that, just because of that, I wouldn't put it at
Gets a
C.
boost.
Yeah.
Okay, awesome. Next up, private one-on-one tutor. This is, I think, a great option for if you can get yourself into this. Is a great option. I know a lot of people that have gotten really amazing at Quranic
Yeah,
Arabic, and their
I think it's
recitation is
good.
perfect
Yeah,
from this.
I think it's good.
And but from many years as a child they've had this, but again, not everyone has had that. So I know people that have lived in an Arabic country, and an Arabic country have Quran tutors, and that Quran tutor came to their house like 3 4 times a week, and like for an hour at a time, and now they're adults, they're like reciting beautifully and consistently very well. So I think comprehension is pretty good on this one. I think it's right up there.
Yeah, so I would say for this one, it's from the comprehension perspective and time to results. It's actually very good because it's personalized to you.
Mm,
Okay. Now, it's not meant for everyone. Not everyone does well in the one-on-one environment. Like it's like a lot of attention just on you, right? Like
yeah, yeah,
I remember, like it did not work well with me. I would start falling asleep. And that feels
okay,
strange, right?
yeah,
Maybe it was because my tutor was like droning on or something. I don't know, but it would just feel like a lot of attention was on me, and like just trying to maintain that level of, oh man, every time he asks me a question I have to be available, every time he says something I have to like respond.
yeah.
Like I can understand, like if you can get past that, I would say it's excellent. I would
Okay,
say it's excellent if you can get past that. Obviously a little more cost, right? Because it's one-on-one. But I think nowadays, especially with tutoring, you can get, for example, online from an Arabic speaking country, then it can be quite accessible. Um, there can even be spiritual engagement if you find a
mm,
tutor that has, an Islamic background, a sheikh, who can teach you not just Arabic but so many other things. Um, so I would say, like because like you've said, I've seen people have really good. If you find a good fit, like a lot of these are conditional, right?
yeah,
Like if you find a good fit, then I would say it could be mashallah pretty good.
yeah.
Um,
I think I kind of want to put this in mashallah pretty good. The only issue, I think the cost factor is high, and the
mm,
commitment factor is high. But like, because you can kind of get it online now, and
yeah,
you can kind of flex it a little bit, right? I could say 1 hour, but if the cost is an issue, I think that's where you'll find the challenge.
yeah, yeah. I mean, yeah, it's between A and B because you do need some patience. I say let's put it A just because A is blank right now.
Ace, ace
Um,
blank. Mashallah, I
yeah.
think it is
So,
mashallah pretty good. Like when I hear the brother reciting and I say, "How did you learn?" This is a private tutor. I say
oh yeah,
mashallah,
yeah,
it's pretty good. I say that's what I say.
100%.
I think okay. I
Like
don't know.
it's just a little bit stubborn because you need to find a good fit, right?
Yeah,
Because not every tutor is for everyone. You need to find a good fit. You have to be a little bit disciplined to do that. Sometimes you just get on and you have low expectations yourself, and you just fit because you don't have too many expectations. And I think that's the best way to approach it.
nice.
Just, hey, I'm going to learn whatever this teacher can teach me, and then once I've exhausted and I feel like, okay, I'm not getting as much, then I can move on, right? But if you're kind of saying, oh well, I want it to be done this way, or you have a lot of expectations, then it can be more difficult.
100%. Okay, couple more left. Immersive study abroad. I feel like this one's going to be romanticized by a lot of people.
This is
I
the
can
same as
go.
Islamic University. Like
It
when I was
is
talking about the Islamic University, I'd say this is the same.
okay. I know a lot of people like they go. I was like, oh, I had such a nice food. I had such an amazing time. I got really
Oh, it's
fat.
romanticized, yeah.
Yeah, like oh, I had so much lovely shawarma and this one and that one. And I say, okay, but beyond the Yemeni coffee and the shawarma,
Yeah.
what did you what
Oh,
did
so
you
you're,
learn?
you're you're talking about tourism study abroad,
So
not
like yeah,
immersive
I'm
study abroad.
kind of yeah. So I think like with this, I know people that have gone like it was half tourists. Like they just go live there for a bit. They'll like say like they can work remotely, or they can like they'll go like for or like go spend a year abroad like on holiday kind of thing, with the idea that I'm gonna learn. So I'm just gonna like immerse myself in the culture, um, and just talk to everyday people, order my shawarma in Arabic, go to the shops and speak in Arabic, and that's how I'm gonna learn. And I know people that have done that. I know people that have done that and then come back and then forgotten it all because they didn't go back, so they just did that and they like kind of they were there with that. So I don't know whether they kind of that whether that wasn't strong enough. They didn't have a need for it after they came back. So I guess let's start with the comprehension. I guess is questionable for Arabic, um, and even like Fusha, like MSA is still again like you might learn one Arabic, you go to a different Arabic country and they're like, what are you talking about? All of your slang is like from this one country. Like I know, like I swear, like Iraq is making up a new word every 2 weeks. And I know people that like go every year, and between the time they come and go back, even though they've been their whole lives, they're like, "You're speaking a different language. Where are you from?" I'm like, "No, no, no, I'm from here." But they're fluent, but they made up language. They made up words in between, so they know you're not from here because they keep you on your toes. you're always gonna be you'll always be a foreigner, right?
Yeah. Yeah, I would put it with the same as the Islamic University. The cost is high. Obviously, it's not as high as a 6 year program, but relatively for what you get, the cost is pretty high. You know, you can achieve the same results through many of the other things, but obviously if someone really just wants, like, you just have to realize why you would do this, right? You
Mm,
want to change your environment, you want to adventure a little bit, right? Just be
yeah.
honest with yourself, like you want an adventure, you want to get out, like you want to go around in a different country, you want to feel like people get a lot of spirituality out of being in a Muslim country where the azan is
That's
done
true.
5 times a day, right?
100%.
Where they don't feel like a foreigner, although you will always be an American when you go over, or a
That's
British
what yeah,
person. If you're a
yeah.
Westerner, you'll always be a Westerner when you go, somewhere else. And then in the West, you will also be, a non-Westerner. You will be a foreigner as well.
What can
So
you do?
that is the challenge of the immigrant, right? But you want an adventure, you want to be out somewhere, you want to feel like you belong, even for that moment, right? At least on a superficial level, you want to feel like you belong, right?
Yeah.
And so just be honest with yourself. Like, you're not going just for Arabic, you're going for a multitude of reasons, and that's okay. Like, it's good to get out of the capitalist rat race, the corporate kind of rat race, to get out for a little bit, do
Mm,
something different. There's even a benefit, for people who take their children. I haven't done this yet with
yeah.
my children. I want to, inshallah, but I have teachers of mine, mentors of mine, who've said, like, they've taken their children and it's made an immense impact on their children,
Yeah.
because took them out of the Western environment and put them in a Muslim environment, see how other people live, see what it's like to hear the adhan, like really
Mm,
instill that identity in them, right? Go to some classes as well, like really take in the environment, right? So I think from that perspective as well, if you're honest with where you're going, it can be really great. Obviously, the cost is very high, though. You know,
yeah.
if you're taking a family, like it's
Yeah.
gonna be
Got to sustain them.
immense. You can't live like a single person. I think
That's
it's a
true.
say, inshallah. I think it's the same. I think it's a C.
Oh, same as okay. So on C,
Yeah.
I think we ended up like speaking quite positively of that. I was surprised. Like I think, but that's true. Like I kind of missed that there is that Islamic environment benefit. Hear the adhan, be immersed with other Muslims.
Yeah.
It is different. You don't have to go around. Is this halal? Is this haram? Is this are you gonna be unknowingly served something haram in a restaurant? It's just a bit more relaxed. And I think as you're right. If you have an opportunity for your kids and for the young ones to have that, even just being in a country where you don't have like the Western standards of living, it's a little bit different. It's better to just have a bit more context of the rest of the world as well. Okay, last one. Oh, let me
Oh,
unhook
it's in two
these.
parts.
Bring that over. Online course. So this might be something like that is like kind of in between. So it's like it has that content, might be some video, some written, and kind of exercises as well. Within that, it's there's some level of guidance, not as much as one to one, not as much as in person, but there is a level of guidance as well. So where would we put this in terms of comprehension? I guess it's better in terms of comprehension than some of the other options we had because it can be really targeted at your particular goals. Huge wealth of courses online, and so you can get one that aligns directly on your goals. If your goal is for Quranic Arabic comprehension, you can hit the nail on the head, and you don't have to kind of deviate from that.
Yeah. So alhamdulillah, we have an online course that we have with that goes with the Quranic app. Um, and the difference is, okay, on the one hand, okay, you're learning on your phone wherever you are, on the train, on the bus, at school, at work, at home, on the couch, right? But let's say you really want to sit down and you want to. Assalamu alaikum, I'm recording. Can you please shut the door? I'm recording. Okay.
We'll have to cut that.
Uh,
Or we keep it. Maybe we keep that part.
my children are here. Okay, what was I saying? Um,
Um, we talk about our course. We have and how we've tailored it.
yeah. You're learning on the phone wherever you are, but then let's say you really want to sit down and learn in more detail, like you want to
Mm,
learn more specifically, and you want to be able to go into that depth that you can't get, for example, from an app.
mm,
um, and so that's where we developed the online course. It comes with the textbook or workbook, rather. You fill in the workbook with it. It has it's very exercised, application based. So I'm assuming this is our course, but there's many courses out there. Of course, it's a very vast. You find a teacher that you like, that you kind of jive with, whose style works with you, and alhamdulillah, like a lot of our students are teachers and professors. Like I was interviewing students,
mm,
a lot of them are like, they understand what it means to teach. They understand what it means to like have that education background, because I'm a teacher myself. I have a master's in education. So
mm,
the way I've put it together, the learning objectives, like if you're a teacher, like you can appreciate it, alhamdulillah. And
mm,
so the comprehension is good. The time to results is good, I would say. The cost is higher than the app, right? The
mm,
cost is higher because it's more commitment. The accessibility, it's online, it's there. You can, we tried to put it into bite-sized, small 10-minute videos, so you can always, have it available to you. Spiritual engagement, we try to focus on Quran. Not try
mm.
to, but that's all we focus on. All the examples are from Quran, alhamdulillah. So it's not just an attempt, but it's an actual thing where we didn't use any examples from any dialogue or anything else. So we tried to make it spiritually engaging, but
100%.
obviously it's not in person. Obviously there's not a connection or relationship like there would be otherwise if you were going to your masjid, but it's more accessible. The cost is better. I would say it's under, mashallah, pretty good. But honestly, it also needs sabr. You need sabr to complete an online course. So it's kind of in between. Stick it in between A and B. It's like you need sabr, but it has the potential to be good.
I think I'm kind of tempted to put this into A. As my experience with the course, well, okay, I'll be honest, I'll put my hands up. I haven't experienced courses other than ours, but maybe that puts my experience more biased because I kind of like our course a lot. And when I did do it, I got those other bits. So you were saying, oh, well, you don't really have
I
as
didn't
much
know you did the
interaction.
course.
I did it for a sprint we did, and I was trying to like share what
Oh,
I was
nice.
doing with others as well. So I did a sprint. I did like I think, but it was not. I think I got some of that other part as well, where we had the momentum from the sprint. So when you had everyone else and they're like, "Oh, I did this part," they screenshotted it and shared it. I got a little bit more encouragement than just doing it on my own. So I like I do have to admit I did like it a lot. And I thought it was I again, like, because I spent a lot of time in education, I know what good education looks like. So I do agree with you. I'm gonna be a bit biased. I'm gonna put it in A if I get my way about it.
You do need sabr. I mean, I'll be honest. You need sabr to do it. You need
You
sabr to
do.
do anything, right?
That's
So
true.
it's about relative sabr. I would say
Okay.
it's less sabr than YouTube. Like once you're committed to something and you're doing it, like you don't
It's
need
less.
as much
Yeah.
sabr because you know what you're gonna get.
Yeah.
Whereas with YouTube, you're gonna get distracted. There's gonna be other things. It doesn't necessarily follow. Each piece doesn't follow the previous piece necessarily, right? So you need a little bit more sabr. You do a short
Okay.
intensive, you're not committed for a long time. You need even more sabr to actually go through with it. You know, like I've seen from our long term course, more people go through it than the short intensive.
Mm.
Because the short intensive, it needs that sabr.
Okay. So were we happy with where we put it in between?
Yeah, I'm
I
happy.
don't know. I don't know if in between places are allowed, but I guess we'll allow it. I guess we'll allow it. Okay.
Yeah.
I guess we'll wrap up here. This is what we've ended up with. So in S tier, we've got the Quranic Arabic learning apps, ours and the others that exist out there. That got the Imam Adam gold star, the only one with a gold star. Let me add a gold star to it. Oh yeah, gold star. Mashallah, pretty good. We got private one-on-one tutor, and we got the half online courses in there. Extra sabr needed, short intensive YouTube playlists. I can't actually read the rest. Say inshallah. You're gonna have to, keep your da'ah strong throughout these local madrasa university degrees, self-study textbook, and immersive study abroad. And unfortunately, this green owl got put in D. D for No
You can
brand.
blur it
So
out. Blur
D for what?
blur
I don't know.
the logo out.
What does D stand for? A particular a particular no, it has its benefits, but it has its
That was not planned, but that's what it
that
ended
was
up being.
we threw it in. So I think, is there any final wrap up reflections on that? Just a reminder to everyone, we will be providing resources, free resources in the description below. PDF you could download, and I'll have a bunch of links to different resources you can go to get started. We've tailored this for beginners. We've tried to take the beginner perspective on what would be useful for someone starting from scratch. So this is really for anyone at any level. So inshallah, take a look at that, and hopefully that'll be useful. It's completely free for you guys. So I think let's review any reflections, any changes. Are we happy with how we put it? Would we want to move any of these?
I mean, now that it's done and I'm looking at C, I'm like, wow, this is pretty stacked on C. Is all of this say inshallah? Let me just reflect local mosque class. We said say inshallah because, because someone just sees this picture, they're like, whoa, the imam's putting everything down. I'm not putting everything down. It's just there's no mosque classes that teach Quranic. It's like 95%, 99% of masajid don't have an Arabic comprehension class. And we're trying to change that with our teacher training, but it's an uphill battle. There's there's no one that wants to teach it. No one can teach it. Even if you offer teacher training, it's about getting the word out. They already have so much going on. They have a bare bones kind of administration. No one picks up the phone at any masjid. So it's a difficult situation. University Arabic
I don't.
is just not accessible. It's really hard to go and study abroad.
Our mission doesn't have a phone number, by the way. If you want to call us, there's no number. By the way,
exactly. There's no one to contact. The self-study textbook. Mashallah, if Allah has mercy on you and you're a big brain individual, that not only are you big brain, but you're just disciplined and you're obsessive over it and you get it done. Mashallah. And I know people like this. They're far and few in between, but I know people like this. But I know people who even did the self-study and they'll have gaps because they just didn't know what to emphasize. So every piece of information seems equal, if that makes sense. Like the teacher will say, this is the most important lesson, right? But when you're just reading a textbook, you don't know what's the most important lesson, what's the least important lesson. You're just going through it step by step and hoping you get to the result, right?
You could even learn wrong as well. You could learn something the wrong way.
You could do an exercise wrong and get a wrong understanding until later. And that's part of the process. You fix yourself. You have to be open to doing that. Otherwise, you're going to find it. If you're a perfectionist, you can't self-study. Let's be honest.
Okay.
Immersive study abroad, same thing. It's access, cost. You're doing it for many reasons, so it can be good. But you're doing it for multiple reasons, not just for understanding Quran. Let's be honest. B, short intensives. Yeah, you need that sabr to get through it, to make the time. It can be better than the mosque class just because it's more accessible. The YouTube, we talked about the distractions, right? Online course. Again, speaking about our specific online course, I would say it's good. You need that more sabr than the app, right? Because it's not accessible to you all the time because you have to sit down and really do it and spend some time on it. But we tried to make it to try to diminish that as much as possible, make it as easy as possible. The tutoring, honestly, it's a surprise one, right? Like we don't do tutoring, we don't have that, so we're not biased with tutoring. But it's a good one. It's a good option. It's an excellent option if you can stick with it. You can find a good tutor. There are some conditions, but I feel like it's not that hard to find a good tutor if you just go in with the right expectations, and you can make progress very fast. Actually,
nice, mashallah. Mashallah, pretty good. Okay.
Yeah.
Nice. Okay, so I think that pretty much wraps it up. Let us
know.
We
didn't even review the S tier. The S tier is the work that we do, that we believe in, that we're doing the best thing that we can do for the people that we want to do it for. Alhamdulillah, inshallah.
Alhamdulillah. 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 We have that reach, alhamdulillah. I think that's the thing that motivates a lot of us in the team, is like we know what we do impacts a lot of people, and that's what motivates us to keep on doing it. Alhamdulillah. 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 And it's always inspiring to hear those stories. So let us know in the comments if you had a different ranking yourself, whether you would put these any differently. This was our take between someone not as educated and someone much more educated and a teacher. So this is what we came to together. Let us know. Maybe were we too biased? Did we were a bit too mean on some of them? Do you disagree with us? Let us know in the comments. And inshallah, it will be interesting to hear what you guys think about that. And again, make sure you just check those resources in the description. It's completely free for you guys to check out. We'll include a resource for each of these, just some pointers you can go to have a look at something, and if that's something that's the right fit for you. Some of these might work for some of you, and some of these might not. A lot of it is very unique. It's a unique and personal choice. So be sure to do that research and just get started into something that is something that works. Something that you can commit to. So inshallah, we wish you the best of luck in your journey with Quranic Arabic, and hopefully we've had something useful for you to take away and been interesting and entertaining.
All right, my brother. Barakallahu feek. Assalamu alaikum wa
Okay.
barakatuh.